We're joined today by Lucy Shepherd. Lucy, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very good, doing okay. Just hearing about the speeches you've been doing on cruises.
Yeah.
Fascinating me. The question that's been bugging me, that when I was the world of explorers and adventurers,
Mhm.
you always have stories to tell and things to share. At what point do you realise that actually the stuff you've learned is deeper than here's what I've achieved, here's what I've done and where I've been? And was there a moment for you around that?
Yeah, for me, it's never about putting a flag on a mountain
Right.
or anything like that. It's not about breaking records. It's not about anything like that. For me, it's the main thing that comes to mind for anything I do, because I don't go on the beaten path and going to places that are completely remote and places that often and expeditions that people say are impossible, but it comes down to me to figure out how to problem solve and make it happen. And it's connection. So it's about connection with yourself. You know, in the modern day, we often get, well, a lot of us lose ourselves. We're bombarded with the modern day complex lives, and we lose sight of who we really are and what we're really capable of. But it's also connection with each other. You know, in a world full of screens, it's very hard to really connect on a deep level. Yet on expedition, your small teams are very good people. The stakes are high. You have to be a very big open book. You have to show vulnerabilities in order to thrive, really.
Yeah.
And if you don't, that's, you know, ego gets in the way, and that's not going to be a success. So it's having those raw and real relationships. That's probably one of the main reasons I do it. And then the third one is connection with the environment. You know, ever since the first expedition I went on, which was back when I was 18,
Yes.
in 2011,
Yeah.
I found this, like, it was like a massive torpedo hitting me. And it was like, well, I feel this real duty of care to this environment. You know, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a conservationist, but I am someone who, I think anyone could do anything if you sort of put your training and attention to detail and really want something. So I just do that, and then I get on these expeditions, and I feel this huge duty of care for the environment.
And do you think that's the same as everyone? Because the way you think, the way you talk, is very much around that. As you just said, as so eloquently spoken about. But do you think those other people they realise it's something that happened over time?
I don't know. I think we're all capable of, like, seeing the awe of the world. You know, we live in this paradise, and we lose. I think the global news doesn't help. We live in a very unpredictable and unstable world, and it can be easy to lose track that this world it has everything we need, and it's very special, and it's incredible to be alive.
Yeah.
But how can we make the most of this? And I've since that first expedition, I've felt that, you know, it's all about connection, not conquer, is what I like to say. And you know, there has to be there's 8 billion of us on the planet. One person can make a difference, because there's a domino effect, there's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be expeditions. It can be something. There's something to doing something for yourself in a selfish way that brings good. So you shouldn't be afraid to do it sometimes.
So, but why do people get restricted by that? Like, kind of over the fact that you're told not to be selfish.
Society, isn't it? Yeah, it's such an idea. I'm very, you know, I don't think I'm a selfish person at all. And the reasons I do these adventures and expeditions has other things and more than just me. It's a bigger picture thing. It's often about, you know, showcasing the world or storytelling or, you know, citizen science that I do. But, you know, there is a selfish element to it. I'll put my hands up there. I wouldn't be able to keep going when it gets dangerous and horrible if I didn't love it. But that's okay, and we should all be, you know, we shouldn't shy away from doing things for ourselves, because there is a ripple effect, a domino effect that happens when you come back, or if you're doing things that you love for yourself. It affects your family, it affects your colleagues, it affects strangers. There's a contagious energy that does good in the world.
And do you think we're more equipped for that now, or less, like, in terms of, as we look at ourselves maybe deeper than we've ever done in society? Do you think we're more willing to embrace we can do stuff for ourselves rather than just try to be better for everyone else?
I think there's like a well-being movement, isn't there?
Yeah.
Which is good. But I think, and social media and things like that, I don't know if they sort of work contradict everything.
Yes.
Because you think that you're doing it for yourself, but really you're trying. It's not in it from a deep level within. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
you're kind of putting it out in the world, but you're not. Are you really doing it for yourself? You're probably just doing it because you think it looks good, rather than.
It's very interesting. It's tell me, kind of, when you kind of when you're on stage and you're delivering your speech, kind of what is it you want from the audience to walk out and feel?
Good question. I think it depends on, after the briefing calls with the company and what they're sort of really looking for. But I think there's an empowerment. I think that just looking up a little bit more and we are, if we plan and prepare and really be mindful about what we do, we can do anything, and we can be inspired by ourselves as well.
Yeah.
So what can you do? It only takes a little 1% each day to get far. I've been told constantly that I have so many dead ends in the work, not just on expeditions, but so I organise all my expeditions. I organise all the TV shows. So I organise. There's no sort of big fixer. There's no film and TV crew. I'm filming it all as well.
Amazing.
And so you have to. You're constantly told that it's not going to happen, but there is always a way. I think that's one of the things that I like to get people to understand.
Yeah.
Because on expedition, there has to be always a way because there's often no choice, and there's no good thinking the negative, like the worst outcome, that it's the end of the world, because that's not, even if it is, that's not going to get you anywhere. Even if there was a glimmer of hope, you'll obviously shut yourself down to that.
Absolutely.
So optimism for me, I think I'm naturally quite optimistic.
Well, I was going to ask you, do you feel you've always been that way inclined, or do you think it's something that you really like? Do you know something?
I don't know. I think it's something you can learn. I say to people in my talks, I think it's really, I talk about the explorer's mindset.
Yeah.
It's not, we're all explorers in our own right. It's just the way you look at the world. It doesn't have to be doing what I do.
Yeah.
It doesn't have, it can be absolutely any challenge or family, work, hobby, whatever it is. And it's about how we can embrace the unknown.
Yeah.
Very important in today's society and world. It's about resilience. Resilience is a buzzword, but it's for good reason, and we're all born resilient. But how can we constantly? We have to build it, so we have to top it up. We live in a sort of comfort crisis, really, in the world that we live in. So it can mean that when things do happen that shake us up, we get a bit more frightened to step outside.
Yeah.
So it's about actively putting yourself in uncomfortable situations on a regular basis, just to know that you can. And the final one, which is my favourite one, is about practising optimism. We're led to believe that optimism is about being happy all of the time.
Yeah.
I really don't think it is. I think it's a mindset, and it's about just believing that somehow you will find a way, and you'll persevere and you'll find a way. And there's ways to become more optimistic. For years, when I was before I was doing the TV stuff, a lot of when I was trying to get, this is 10 years in the making sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I'd send tapes, or I'd be working with TV channels and things. They said, we don't want you, we think you're too happy on camera.
Brilliant, I love that.
We need you to look like everything's terrible and you're about to die. It's like, well, if I think that, then I'm, we're dealing with actually dangerous situations, and that could be a slippery slope. So I obviously couldn't just do that. But I naturally smile when I'm nervous. But this is something we could all do. So if you look in the mirror and smile and fake, it can be a fake smile, it can be a fake laugh. You send the same reward signals, chemical signals to your brain as does eating 2,000 chocolate bars.
Really?
Yeah. So it naturally fills you with feeling that bit more hopeful.
I love that. Because that scares me so much over the fact that I'd never smile. So there we go.
Yeah, you got to smile. And it just makes it forms clarity. And there's other little techniques you can do. You can, having a nap or getting outside for exercise, vitamin D in the morning, even if it's cloudy, it will give you this clarity, and just sort of that path didn't work. It's okay. We'll try this one. Eventually, we'll.
So what's the I think off the back of that, I think I find what's the best feedback you've had after an event where someone comes up to you and say, kind of, what have they said to you? Would you really like to think that you get it and actually you're going to change your?
Lots of things, really. That's the thing that I find really special about the talks, and I've been lucky enough and privileged enough to give talks to such a wide range of audiences. And how I deliver it changes depending on who it is, topics, of course. But sometimes it will really surprise you. I had one person recently who came up to me, and I saw them a week later because we were on a confined cruise ship.
Yeah.
And he came up to me first of all, and he said that this talk I talked about calculated risk taking and about the comfort crisis and things, and the fear of talk about failure a lot and how we can't let failure or mishaps define us. And he told me a story about how he'd been attacked a few years ago,
Right.
and that had led him feeling very anxious and very worried, and that this talk really empowered him and changed his sort of thoughts processing. And a few days later, I saw him, and his wife came up to me as well and said, "We were walking out, new country,
Yeah.
and my husband was acting very, very different than he has done in the last 6 years." And I said, "What's going on? Why are you standing straighter? You're putting yourself in the deep end." And he apparently just said it's because of Lucy. So it's just a mindset shift.
That's amazing when you hear that from someone else about how someone's changed.
Yeah, it really got me here. So you never know, and I love that. I tell in my talks. I'm a big storyteller.
Yeah.
I tell stories that's the thread, and then throughout I sort of talk about the lessons. I talk about my leadership style. I think everyone's different. There isn't one way to lead. There's lots of different ways to lead, and finding that authentic. And just because you're not the boss of the company doesn't mean you're not a leader.
Absolutely.
You can lead from the back, and for me, I'm leading people in very small groups of people, but the danger is high, and I'm usually the only person who's an outsider. These people are usually living in that sort of environment, but I'm coming with different skills. As a leader, you don't get the same people you don't want people who are like you. You want diversity in all shapes and sizes, because that you perform better as a team, you adapt better. It's proven, you innovate faster. But as a leader, I can't just go in all guns blazing. I'm a big observer, so I have to sort of see what the sort of capabilities are, nurture it, and then come in when I feel like I've got trust, and then you work as a team and you form very close relationships and respect, I think. And then it's all, we talk about a lot about shared vision, and everyone's got to have that shared vision. It's a big thing for me when you're going 50 days in the deep jungle or across ice caps for months on end. If someone starts to feel like this isn't their thing, that's not
a problem.
Yeah. So it's about empowerment, really, and making sure everyone, we're all capable of way more than we know, and I'm always trying to see where my capabilities are. And I hope that's the same for everyone.
I love that. It's such a lovely place to end. Thank you so much, Dee, for your time today.
Thank you.